Okay, this is part 2 of the Civil War. And it is limited war, so this is the battle plans and the very first battles of the Civil War. This is what we're going to summarize, including some turning points and into the disparities between the North and the South. So you can see population-wise, the North has a much greater population. The farm acreages in the South is more, but in the North they're producing things people eat, or in the South it's more cash crops like tobacco, sugar, cotton. So the value you can see in the North is more, and they're going to be able to provide more for their troops. They have more railroads, more factories, they have more money. So when going into the war, they are going to have a much bigger advantage than the South. The Confederate advantages, basically, they do have the militias. They've got a plethora, there's that word again, of commanders that are exceptional leaders. Robert E. Lee, for instance, and Thomas Stonewall Jackson, his right-hand man, the cavalry with the Buells and Jeb Stuart. Most of the fighting in the beginning of the war is going to be in the South, and so it's called the home field advantage. They have to fight a defensive battle and not worry about conquest. And they thought they had the moral imperative with their preserving a lifestyle. This is Winfield Scott, and Winfield Scott, if you recall, is a hero of the Mexican-American War. Actually ran for president and lost, but he is an old guy at this time. But he is a very tactical military man, and he comes up with a plan called the Anaconda Plan. And the Anaconda Plan is basically put all this naval blockade completely around the South, and the North does have a much better Navy. Ultimately, capture the capital, Richmond, come up the Mississippi, and basically squeeze the South, squeeze it from the west and the east, and end the war. Now, if they had just stuck to this plan and just put the blockade around, no supplies in or out, and not really engaged in militarily, historians believe that this would have worked with much less loss of life, the Anaconda Plan by Winfield. So as we talked about yesterday, first battle of the war is going to be a Confederate victory. And the second battle of the war is also going to be a Confederate victory. And this is called the Battle of Bull Run, First Bull Run, or Manassas. And in the South, they would call them by the area, by the geography, and in the North they gave them kind of other names. So First Bull Run or the First Manassas, these are the same battle. You can see Washington is circled here, and we have troops. Remember P.G.T. Beauregard, he's here at Manassas Junction. This is where the battle is going to be fought. We've got about 3,000 down south, and then we've got about 12,000 up here, Johnson. So we've got 35,000 troops in Washington, D.C. at this point in time, and they are going to be marching towards Manassas. When they get there, they've marched pretty much all day long. It's July 21st. It's almost 100 degrees. They are hot. They are tired. But they do get there and they do engage. And this just kind of shows the different ways the battle. We're not going to get into all the specifics of the battle. But at the very first beginning of the battle, it looks like the North is winning. People actually came out in buggies and brought picnic baskets and thought that they would watch the war. They thought it would be a delightful afternoon. So the battle is going to progress. And you can see Andrew Jackson is going to arrive, and Henry Hill here, and Andrew Jackson is going to hold the troops. They had started to retreat, and he is going to tell them, and just stand there and pretty much put his hand up in the air. They say that his finger was actually shot, and famously, Brigadier General Bernard E. Bee of the Confederate Army says to his troops, "Look, you stop retreating. Look there at Jackson. He stands like a stone wall." And after that, he did get the nickname Stonewall Jackson. So the battle will turn, and as the Union Army starts working their way back towards Washington, D.C., and this is a victory for the Confederates. So several other battles will continue. Robert E. Lee is going to take command of all the forces. His right-hand man is going to be Thomas Jackson, and there's going to be several campaigns. There's the Peninsula Campaign, where Mcclellan does not advance. Okay, he has this marvelous plan, doesn't quite come to fruition. He's supposed to be moving towards Richmond, and he gets fooled, actually. So at some point in time, if you ever get a chance, take a Civil War class in college, and they will get into the details of these battles. 7 Days War is going to be a Confederate victory. Second Manassas, another Confederate victory. And then Robert E. Lee makes a mistake. He decides to go north into Maryland, into those border states. He thought he would get support from the people there. And if you notice, all these battles had been fought in Virginia. He wanted to take a little pressure off the people of Virginia and be able to raise, so they could raise some food and so forth and supplies. He also was going to get supplies in Maryland, and he is going to engage. This is going to be a very bloody war, Antietam, and he ends up retreating back to the south. The next battle is at Fredericksburg, and it is a complete disaster for the Union Army. It's cold, and basically the Confederates just pick them off. They have the high ground. So this is General George McClellan, and General George McClellan had lots of plans. His men actually loved him because he would retreat rather than put them in more danger, and he is going to be driven back by Robert E. Lee. He probably could have persevered, but instead he is going to retreat, and Lincoln ends up actually firing McClellan. He said he had a case of the slow. One more here, you can see the red is Lee, and again, McClellan was advancing on Richmond, and Jackson and Lee managed to kind of flank his troops, and McClellan is going to retreat. So the second Bull Run, and again, it's the site of the first Bull Run, is going to be a Confederate victory, and Lee is starting to feel like he is invincible. Look how close Washington is to Richmond. All right, Battle of Antietam, here he goes. He's going up into Maryland. He's leaving the South, so that's not a defensive war. Very close to Washington, D.C., and he makes a mistake. He thinks if he could win at Antietam that maybe he could get the English to join in on the side of the Confederacy. Antietam is going to end up being the bloodiest day of the war, not the bloodiest battle. That's going to be Gettysburg over a period of several days. But this is going to be the bloodiest day of the war. And again, when you get a chance, it's really an interesting battle tactics to take class in this when you get to college. So this is going to be the bloodiest single day of the war, and basically it's a draw. However, whoever leaves is usually considered the loser, and Lee will retreat, and McClellan allows him to retreat instead of chasing him, which just really, really, really upsets Lincoln. So it's a strategic victory for the Union and a disaster for the South. You can see total casualties, 22,717 people, with the wounded, the missing probably boogied back to their farms. So Lincoln meets with McClellan after Antietam. He is not happy with him, but this is a picture of Lincoln with McClellan meeting after the Battle of Antietam. Lincoln decides at this point in time the English are not going to come in on the side of the South, but just to make sure, he decides after Antietam he will emancipate any slaves in states that are in conflict with the United States. And at this point he fires McClellan. He hires a guy named Ambrose Burnside, and you can see the hairiness of him, and yes, that's where you get sideburns. Okay, so from his massive sideburns here. So his mission is to take Richmond, again the capital of the Confederacy, and he moves towards Fredericksburg. But then he waits because he's got to go across this river, which he could have done. Sorry, I had a little interruption there. So I think we were waiting for, he wanted to go across that river, but he was waiting for pontoons. And so while he was waiting for pontoons, the Confederates took the high ground outside of Fredericksburg and set up parameters, and they are going to the Union. It is, like I said, cold, 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 and Burnside is going to be, as you can see, 12,653 casualties to 5,377 casualties. So this is a serious defeat by Burnside. There's a great movie that actually talks about the Battle of Fredericksburg, and it's long a bit. If you like war movies, it's something in generals. I can't remember exactly. You can see here they're going to use what they call grape shot, and it's kind of like shrapnel. So they fill the cannonballs with all these little pieces of metal, and when it explodes, it had serious damages to the. So now you've got a guy named Ulysses S Grant, and Ulysses S Grant is going to be with the Union Army going to the west, Tennessee, and then ultimately New Orleans and up into Vicksburg. And he does not surrender. He initially takes two forts, Forts Henry and Donelson. They're on a river. There's a very bloody battle fought at Shiloh in Tennessee. And then he and his troops are going to come up the Mississippi, and there's going to be a siege. So this is the Western Theater, and the part of that Anaconda Plan is to control the Mississippi River, because that is going to split the Confederacy, and then move to the east. So you can see up here Fort Henry and Donelson on those rivers. He comes down to Shiloh, very bloody battle, and ultimately he's going to move from the north to Vicksburg, and Admiral Farragut famously says, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead" at Mobile Bay, and then ultimately comes up and takes New Orleans with very, very little problem whatsoever. It's just not very well fortified, and then moves up the Mississippi. So Ulysses S. Grant gets the nickname Unconditional Surrender Grant because he is a tiger. He just keeps on going. And this just basically kind of, again, shows the movement of the Union troops and the failed attempts to push them back by the Confederacy. For a little while there, it looked like the Confederates were going to win at Shiloh, and ultimately Grant comes in with reinforcements, and he is able to push them back, and there's some serious casualties at Shiloh. New Orleans, a very important port for the South, and the Union Navy is able to come up. It's a kind of a cool deal. They kind of sneak past the first fortification to get to New Orleans. It's going to be occupied by a guy named Benjamin Butler. And Benjamin Butler is going to issue an order because the Southern women basically treated the Union soldiers very, very poorly. So he basically said any woman who treated a Union soldier poorly should be treated like a prostitute. And that was called Butler's Woman Order. And of course, that does not make him very, very popular in New Orleans. And you can see he doesn't look like a real cool dude here. General Orders number 111. Now this is by Jefferson Davis, and he declares Benjamin Butler a felon deserving of capital punishment. I do order that he is no longer considered or treated simply as a public enemy of the Confederate States of America, but as an outlaw and common enemy of mankind, and that in the event of his capture, the officer in command of capturing force do cause him to be immediately executed by hanging. Butler actually had this man, William F. Mumford, executed for tearing down the flag in New Orleans. So Butler was universally hated by the Confederacy. They nicknamed him Spoons and the Beast, and they put his picture, this is a piss pot, basically, that's what they called it, and people would keep it under their beds, and in the evening if they had to go to the bathroom, this is what they would use, and they put Butler's picture on the bottom. This is a chamber pot.